It is fake. It is a forgery. It is illegitimate. This make-believe 1999 constitution that was imposed on us cannot remain. It must be decommissioned.
The people of Nigeria are the owners, and the political class are the hired managers. It is for owners to tell hired managers what is to be done. So, it is we the people who must make sure that the 1999 constitution is decommissioned. Therefore, we, the ordinary people of South and Middle Belt, are uniting as NINAS, which stands for Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination. On 16 December 2020, NINAS declared a constitutional force majeure, an orderly process to decommission the 1999 constitution. Central government was given 90 days to action 5 demands. They are:
acknowledge the constitutional force majeure,
commit to decommissioning the 1999 constitution,
suspend general elections in 2023 under the repudiated 1999 constitution,
work with NINAS to put in place a transitional government.
During the time-bound transitional government, ethnic nationalities will have regional referendums to determine the future of Nigeria. The results will determine what type of constitutional agreement there will be.
You can be part of NINAS by signing the petition. To sign the petition, visit
www.ninasffn.org or www.freedomfromnigeria.com.
The unitary constitution of Nigeria is the source of all of the problems we have been trying to resolve. Everything that has brought Nigeria to where it is, that is now wobbling to some kind of catastrophic collapse, are coming from that constitution. All the contents of the treasury, the principles for managing the resources, so that's the custodians of the treasury, the custodians of power in Nigeria are not to be accountable to the populace for the contents of the treasury. Anybody talking about the rule of law in Nigeria under this constitution is just wasting his time. All atrocities committed in the name of government were put beyond the reach of the court to probe into. These same principles have matured into express provisions that became the quota system. They call it federal character. In that mediocrity, you bring the worst of everybody to come and manage everything for everybody. Go and look at the autopsy report on Nigerian Airways, on Nigerian National Shipping Line, on NITEL, on all the agencies of government that have been run aground. It was simply mediocrity.
Youths are fed up with Nigeria and are protesting as EndSARS revolution now and our mumu don't do. Others are escaping the country by any means they can.
We know the reason and source of all that is wrong with Nigeria. It is the 1999 constitution. It is not a real constitution. It is fake. It is a forgery. It is illegitimate. This make-believe 1999 constitution that was imposed on us cannot remain. It must be decommissioned.
The people of Nigeria are the owners, and the political class are the hired managers. It is for owners to tell hired managers what is to be done. So, it is we the people who must make sure that the 1999 constitution is decommissioned. Therefore, we, the ordinary people of South and Middle Belt, are uniting as NINAS, which stands for Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination. On 16 December 2020, NINAS declared a constitutional force majeure, an orderly process to decommission the 1999 constitution. Central government was given 90 days to action 5 demands. They are:
acknowledge the constitutional force majeure,
commit to decommissioning the 1999 Constitution,
suspend general elections in 2023 under the repudiated 1999 Constitution,
work with NINAS to put in place a transitional government.
During the time-bound transitional government, ethnic nationalities will have regional referendums to determine the future of Nigeria. The results will determine what type of constitutional agreement there will be.
You can be part of NINAS by signing the petition. To sign the petition, visit
www.ninasffn.org or www.freedomfromnigeria.com.
The unitary constitution of Nigeria is the source of all of the problems we have been trying to resolve. Everything that has brought Nigeria to where it is, that is now wobbling to some kind of catastrophic collapse, are coming from that constitution. All the contents of the treasury, the principles for managing the resources, so that's the custodians of the treasury, the custodians of power in Nigeria are not to be accountable to the populace for the contents of the treasury. Anybody talking about the rule of law in Nigeria under this constitution is just wasting his time. All atrocities committed in the name of government were put beyond the reach of the court to probe into. These same principles have matured into express provisions that became the quota system. They call it federal character. In that mediocrity, you bring the worst of everybody to come and manage everything for everybody. Go and look at the autopsy report on Nigerian Airways, on Nigerian National Shipping Line, on NITEL, on all the agencies of government that have been run aground. It was simply mediocrity.
Youths are fed up with Nigeria and are protesting as EndSARS revolution now and our mumu don't do. Others are escaping the country by any means they can.
We know the reason and source of all that is wrong with Nigeria. It is the 1999 Constitution. It is not a real constitution. It is fake. It is a forgery. It is illegitimate. This make-believe 1999 Constitution that was imposed on us cannot remain. It must be decommissioned.
The people of Nigeria are the owners, and the political class are the hired managers. It is for owners to tell hired managers what is to be done. So, it is we the people who must make sure that the 1999 Constitution is decommissioned. Therefore, we, the ordinary people of South and Middle Belt, are uniting as NINAS, which stands for Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination. On 16 December 2020, NINAS declared a constitutional force majeure, an orderly process to decommission the 1999 Constitution. Central government was given 90 days to action 5 demands. They are:
acknowledge the constitutional force majeure,
commit to decommissioning the 1999 Constitution,
suspend general elections in 2023 under the repudiated 1999 Constitution,
work with NINAS to put in place a transitional government.
During the time-bound transitional government, ethnic nationalities will have regional referendums to determine the future of Nigeria. The results will determine what type of constitutional agreement there will be.
You can be part of NINAS by signing the petition. To sign the petition, visit
www.ninasffn.org or www.freedomfromnigeria.com.
The unitary constitution of Nigeria is the source of all of the problems we have been trying to resolve. Everything that has brought Nigeria to where it is, that is now wobbling to some kind of catastrophic collapse, are coming from that constitution. All the contents of the treasury, the principles for managing the resources, so that's the custodians of the treasury, the custodians of power in Nigeria are not to be accountable to the populace for the contents of the treasury. Anybody talking about the rule of law in Nigeria under this constitution is just wasting his time. All atrocities committed in the name of government were put beyond the reach of the court to probe into. These same principles have matured into express provisions that became the quota system. They call it federal character. In that mediocrity, you bring the worst of everybody to come and manage everything for everybody. Go and look at the autopsy report on Nigerian Airways, on Nigerian National Shipping Line, on NITEL, on all the agencies of government that have been run aground. It was simply mediocrity.
Youths are fed up with Nigeria and are protesting as NSAS revolution now and our mumu don't do. Others are escaping the country by any means they can.
We know the reason and source of all that is wrong with Nigeria. It is the 1999 Constitution. It is not a real constitution. It is fake. It is a forgery. It is illegitimate. This make-believe 1999 Constitution that was imposed on us cannot remain. It must be decommissioned.
The people of Nigeria are the owners, and the political class are the hired managers. It is for owners to tell hired managers what is to be done. So, it is we the people who must make sure that the 1999 Constitution is decommissioned. Therefore, we, the ordinary people of South and Middle Belt, are uniting as NINAS, which stands for Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination. On 16 December 2020, NINAS declared a constitutional force majeure, an orderly process to decommission the 1999 Constitution. Central government was given 90 days to action 5 demands. They are:
acknowledge the constitutional force majeure,
commit to decommissioning the 1999 Constitution,
suspend general elections in 2023 under the repudiated 1999 Constitution,
work with NINAS to put in place a transitional government.
During the time-bound transitional government, ethnic nationalities will have regional referendums to determine the future of Nigeria. The results will determine what type of constitutional agreement there will be.
You can be part of NINAS by signing the petition. To sign the petition, visit
www.ninasffn.org or www.freedomfromnigeria.com.
The unitary constitution of Nigeria is the source of all of the problems we have been trying to resolve. Everything that has brought Nigeria to where it is, that is now wobbling to some kind of catastrophic collapse, are coming from that constitution. All the contents of the treasury, the principles for managing the resources, so that's the custodians of the treasury, the custodians of power in Nigeria are not to be accountable to the populace for the contents of the treasury. Anybody talking about the rule of law in Nigeria under this constitution is just wasting his time. All atrocities committed in the name of government were put beyond the reach of the court to probe into. These same principles have matured into express provisions that became the quota system. They call it federal character. In that mediocrity, you bring the worst of everybody to come and manage everything for everybody. Go and look at the autopsy report on Nigerian Airways, on Nigerian National Shipping Line, on NITEL, on all the agencies of government that have been run aground. It was simply mediocrity.
Youths are fed up with Nigeria and are protesting as EndSARS revolution now and our mumu don't do. Others are escaping the country by any means they can.
We know the reason and source of all that is wrong with Nigeria. It is the 1999 constitution. It is not a real constitution. It is fake. It is a forgery. It is illegitimate. This make-believe 1999 constitution that was imposed on us cannot remain. It must be decommissioned.
The people of Nigeria are the owners, and the political class are the hired managers. It is for owners to tell hired managers what is to be done. So, it is we the people who must make sure that the 1999 constitution is decommissioned. Therefore, we, the ordinary people of South and Middle Belt, are uniting as NINAS, which stands for Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination. On 16 December 2020, NINAS declared a constitutional force majeure, an orderly process to decommission the 1999 constitution. Central government was given 90 days to action 5 demands. They are:
acknowledge the constitutional force majeure,
commit to decommissioning the 1999 constitution,
suspend general elections in 2023 under the repudiated 1999 constitution,
work with NINAS to put in place a transitional government.
During the time-bound transitional government, ethnic nationalities will have regional referendums to determine the future of Nigeria. The results will determine what type of constitutional agreement there will be.
You can be part of NINAS by signing the petition. To sign the petition, visit
www.ninasffn.org or www.freedomfromnigeria.com.
The unitary constitution of Nigeria is the source of all of the problems we have been trying to resolve. Everything that has brought Nigeria to where it is, that is now wobbling to some kind of catastrophic collapse, are coming from that constitution. All the contents of the treasury, the principles for managing the resources, so that's the custodians of the treasury, the custodians of power in Nigeria are not to be accountable to the populace for the contents of the treasury. Anybody talking about the rule of law in Nigeria under this constitution is just wasting his time. All atrocities committed in the name of government were put beyond the reach of the court to probe into. These same principles have matured into express provisions that became the quota system. They call it federal character. In that mediocrity, you bring the worst of everybody to come and manage everything for everybody. Go and look at the autopsy report on Nigerian Airways, on Nigerian National Shipping Line, on NITEL, on all the agencies of government that have been run aground. It was simply mediocrity.
Youths are fed up with Nigeria and are protesting as EndSARS revolution now and our mumu don't do. Others are escaping the country by any means they can.
We know the reason and source of all that is wrong with Nigeria. It is the 1999 constitution. It is not a real constitution. It is fake. It is a forgery. It is illegitimate. This make-believe 1999 constitution that was imposed on us cannot remain. It must be decommissioned.
The people of Nigeria are the owners, and the political class are the hired managers. It is for owners to tell hired managers what is to be done. So, it is we the people who must make sure that the 1999 constitution is decommissioned. Therefore, we, the ordinary people of South and Middle Belt, are uniting as NINAS, which stands for Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination. On 16 December 2020, NINAS declared a constitutional force majeure, an orderly process to decommission the 1999 constitution. Central government was given 90 days to action 5 demands. They are:
acknowledge the constitutional force majeure,
commit to decommissioning the 1999 constitution,
suspend general elections in 2023 under the repudiated 1999 constitution,
work with NINAS to put in place a transitional government.
During the time-bound transitional government, ethnic nationalities will have regional referendums to determine the future of Nigeria. The results will determine what type of constitutional agreement there will be.
You can be part of NINAS by signing the petition. To sign the petition, visit
www.ninasffn.org or www.freedomfromnigeria.com.
The unitary constitution of Nigeria is the source of all of the problems we have been trying to resolve. Everything that has brought Nigeria to where it is, that is now wobbling to some kind of catastrophic collapse, are coming from that constitution. All the contents of the treasury, the principles for managing the resources, so that's the custodians of the treasury, the custodians of power in Nigeria are not to be accountable to the populace for the contents of the treasury. Anybody talking about the rule of law in Nigeria under this constitution is just wasting his time. All atrocities committed in the name of government were put beyond the reach of the court to probe into. These same principles have matured into express provisions that became the quota system. They call it federal character. In that mediocrity, you bring the worst of everybody to come and manage everything for everybody. Go and look at the autopsy report on Nigerian Airways, on Nigerian National Shipping Line, on NITEL, on all the agencies of government that have been run aground. It was simply mediocrity.
Youths are fed up with Nigeria and are protesting as EndSARS revolution now and our mumu don't do. Others are escaping the country by any means they can.
We know the reason and source of all that is wrong with Nigeria. It is the 1999 constitution. It is not a real constitution. It is fake. It is a forgery. It is illegitimate. This make-believe 1999 constitution that was imposed on us cannot remain. It must be decommissioned.
The people of Nigeria are the owners, and the political class are the hired managers. It is for owners to tell hired managers what is to be done. So, it is we the people who must make sure that the 1999 constitution is decommissioned. Therefore, we, the ordinary people of South and Middle Belt, are uniting as NINAS, which stands for Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination. On 16 December 2020, NINAS declared a constitutional force majeure, an orderly process to decommission the 1999 Constitution. Central government 20 days to action 5 demands. They are:
acknowledge the constitutional force majeure,
commit to decommissioning the 1999 Constitution,
suspend general elections in 2023 under the repudiated 1999 Constitution,
work with NINAS to put in place a transitional government.
During the time-bound transitional government, ethnic nationalities will have regional referendums to determine the future of Nigeria. The results will determine what type of constitutional agreement there will be.
You can be part of NINAS by signing the petition. To sign the petition, visit
www.ninasffn.org or www.freedomfromnigeria.com.
The unitary constitution of Nigeria is the source of all of the problems we have been trying to resolve. Everything that has brought Nigeria to where it is, that is now wobbling to some kind of catastrophic collapse, are coming from that constitution. All the contents of the treasury, the principles for managing the resources, so that's the custodians of the treasury, the custodians of power in Nigeria are not to be accountable to the populace for the contents of the treasury. Anybody talking about the rule of law in Nigeria under this constitution is just wasting his time. All atrocities committed in the name of government were put beyond the reach of the court to probe into. These same principles have matured into express provisions that became the quota system. They call it federal character. In that mediocrity, you bring the worst of everybody to come and manage everything for everybody. Go and look at the autopsy report on Nigerian Airways, on Nigerian National Shipping Line, on NITEL, on all the agencies of government that have been run aground. It was simply mediocrity.
The constitution that operates in Nigeria today is a fraudulent, mischievous document foisted on Nigeria by a departing military junta. In fact, it is Decree 24 of 1999, which will have been a mere transitional instrument for governing a country of the stature and standing of Nigeria within the international community. I would have thought that the first item on the agenda of the government that came to power in 1999 was to address the issue of that constitution, its legitimacy. Because, like the Patriots observed, it told a lie against itself by saying that we Nigerians, under God, have agreed to live together, blah, blah, blah. There was no time when we were asked that question. And Nigeria, I believe, still requires what lawyers call an autochthonous constitution, a constitution that that captures the needs and interests of the Nigerians, a constitution that finds legitimacy in the eyes of the citizens, not one handed down from low and high by a military.
But I would like you to tell Nigerians, the ultimatum, the date that you gave on December 16, 2020, expired about 48 hours ago. And now we are still where we are. So what was it about that you had to petitioned the government and the African Union and the European Union and others. What was it about?
Yes, the 16th of December constitutional force majeure was a joint action by the indigenous nationalities of Nigeria, especially the South and the Middle Belt. All of us who are being tormented by this Fulani invasion and Nigeria that has become a union of death for all of us. We've engaged the situation, continuously for, I would say 21 years from the point the 1999 Constitution was introduced 21 years ago. And all through the processes, you saw when Pronaco came, you saw when in 2007 we had to go to court to say we did not make that 1999 Constitution, that our signature was put on a document that sees our assets, that confiscates our sovereignties, that sees our assets, whether it's oil and gas in the Niger Delta or the port and maritime resources of Yoruba land and Lagos, or the bitumen of Ondo, or the limestone of Benue, that have been confiscated through the instrumentality of that 1999 Constitution by those who now claim they own Nigeria, those who say they are born to rule us, those who are now invading all of us from all quarters, throwing our borders open for Fulani to come from everywhere in Africa to become the new owners, because they are also doing an ethnic cleansing operation. They are killing people in order to take their land. So what we did on the 16th of December in 2020 was to declare a sovereignty dispute, a constitutional force majeure. Constitutional force majeure in the sense of telling the global community. We just notified the global community that we have presented a sovereignty dispute to the Federation of Nigeria through the federal government of Nigeria, that as represented by the federal government of Nigeria that's managing that entity, and that we now insist that our sovereignty that have been confiscated by that constitution we did not make, because it claimed in its preamble that we, the people, solemnly resolved to submit ourselves into the union. It also claimed falsely in the same preamble that we made the constitution for ourselves. Those two false claims, to bring it down to the level of the understanding of our people, operate like a forged title deed by which an entity that is not in agreement with us, an entity that is in an adversarial situation against us, that is an entity that is laying claim to our lands and our assets and our rights in the name of a Nigeria that died. The Federation of Nigeria died in 1966 when the 5 constitutions that defined that federation collapsed. From that point, the carcass of that defunct Federation of Nigeria was hijacked by a small section of Nigeria, and progressively they imposed a unitary constitution, by which they seized all of the assets of the regions that federated, because Nigeria was a federation of 4 autonomous regions up to that 1966. But from 1966 upwards, it was now a matter of the Union Office hijacking the sovereignties of those 4 regions and imposing one unitary constitution under which the federal government that is supposed to be the union, the business of the 4 regions, the joint business of the 4 regions, got hijacked by one section of the country to become the owner of all of Nigeria, fracturing those regions into states that have now become 36 in number, groveling at the feet of an almighty and omnipotent federal government with a 68-item exclusive list on that constitution that sees all the assets and all the rights and powers of the constituent components of the federating units. And so what we did was in December was to declare an emergency on that situation, and force majeure in the sense of what you do in contract when extraordinary circumstances arise. In declaring that force majeure, we were only giving the federal government of Nigeria a notice of 90 days to examine the grave constitutional grievances being raised by the indigenous nationalities of Nigeria that have found themselves, at the receiving end of an invasion by the Fulani. At a time, there is a Fulani president of Nigeria who threw our borders open. At a time, there's a governor in Bauchi, a Fulani governor of Bauchi state, that told us that the Fulani from all over Africa belong to Nigeria. At a time, we saw the armed forces of Nigeria collaborating openly, colluding openly with the invaders. The government itself told us that those killer herdsmen come from outside Nigeria, that most of them come from Mali and Senegal and all kinds of places. Now, we are in our ancestral spaces, and the constitution they impose on us forbid us from touching guns. These invaders come with guns, and they kill people, and in fact they've renamed some of the communities in southern Kaduna and elsewhere. And the government that is supposed to be looking out for us, the security agencies that are supposed to be defending us from all of this, like General Danjuma did point out in 2018, are in open collusion with these invaders. And El Rufai told us how he went to give them money in 14 different countries. We now see Gumi that knows where these terrorists are. The government knows where Gumi is. And the Gumi knows where the terrorists are. And they want to convince us that they don't know where to find the terrorists. The government and its army and the Navy and Air Force don't know where to find the terrorists. We came out on the 16th of December as the owners of the sovereignties that are being hijacked and confiscated by the defunct Federation of Nigeria forcefully. Okay. To say that we've endured for 21 years, we are not prepared to endure it any further. That 90 days expired on the midnight of March the 16th, and we came out the next day to announce our next steps because our sovereignty is not dependent on anybody.
Pastor Nnadi.
Yes, sir.
Pastor Nnadi, I had to listen to you, and going by what you have just said, it seems that you're drawing your conclusion from ethnic bias. Because you raised so many allegations.
What is the meaning of ethnic bias?
Hold on. I want to ask a question. You raised so many allegations on the northern governors and how some of them made some statements. Those are your opinion, not our opinion.
The statements not made.
Hold on.
The statements not made.
Hold on, barrister.
You talk about it as
barrister, hold on. Let me ask a question. I will let you talk. Now, from what you have said now, other people that are watching you will feel that your statements are coming from an ethnic bias angle. But what is the solution now? If we know that the Constitution is not favorable to the people of the South and the Middle Belt. You had a press conference yesterday, a world press conference. Nigerians will want to know what you think will be the answer to some of the questions raised. We've had so many questions that to this effect, and a lot of people have come out to say this constitution needs to be changed. That's not, there's nothing wrong about that. So what is the solution to some of these things some of the allegations you made, some of the things you pointed out? What is the solution going forward?
It is the solution that we wrote that the Guardian newspaper of today has it on the front page. The Guardian newspaper of yesterday has on the front page the proclamation of December 2020. If anybody is listening to me now who did not read that proclamation, that person should please just go get either online or however they can get at the Guardian newspaper of yesterday, March 17, to see exactly what we said was the problem. And the Guardian newspaper of today, March 18, to see what we say should be done. What we're saying is that we are the Union of Nigeria, the Federation of Nigeria, as defined by the Constitution 1999, is no longer our project. The Nigeria that was our project had long been overtaken and jettisoned, and what we have now is an imposition by people who are bent on exterminating us and taking our land. And when you say I'm talking from ethnic bias,
I said some persons will feel that that's the way you are sounding. People that are listening will feel you are talking from ethnic bias.
There's no ethnic bias anywhere. Nigeria is an aggregation of many nations. The Yoruba are the Yoruba, the Ijaw are the Ijaw, the Ogoni are the Ogoni, all the way to the Fulani up north, the Tiv in the middle, the Berom before thereafter. It is the nationalities that submitted their sovereignties in Lancaster House, having discussed the formations in which they will relate. It is those nationalities that own the sovereignties that are, consolidated in the union called Nigeria. But there was an agreement that will be a federation, that will be a secular union, that will be a union of equal partners, and that life will be sacrosanct here under the rule of law. All of those things have been truncated by that section of the country that imposed Sharia. That section of the country that imposed a constitution that took us away from being a federation into a unitary and over-centralized unitary system in which all our assets now belong to them. And they're telling us to our faces that it's not up for negotiation anymore, because they have put our signature on a document of title, the constitution that we did not make. And we're saying now that it is not to go to write another constitution. We must accept that our sovereignty have been confiscated by force. We must accept, those are the demands we made in the December 16th proclamation, that the federal government of Nigeria must now acknowledge the sovereignty dispute, the union dispute we have raised. We are saying that our lands, our assets, our lives, our rights have been confiscated by the instrumentality of a forged constitution, a constitution we did not make, but which authorship is ascribed to us, is imputed to us. And we have endured it for so long. Whether it is the Niger Delta that wants its oil and gas resources back, or the people being killed in the Middle Belt who want to be able to take up guns and defend themselves from whoever comes into their space, or the owners of the ports of Lagos who now watch helplessly when, while Nigeria is cutting away 2 trillion plus from the ports, and nobody from Yoruba land have ever been qualified to manage those ports, the controller generals of customs of Nigeria from beginning to now. And so it is that constitution that has to be jettisoned 100%. We're not talking about any kind of amendment, because those who are talking about a National Assembly, the National Assembly itself is a product of that fraud, in the sense that 36 states and 704 local government areas, which were done by decree, are now in that constitution and are the basis of representation in Abuja. They have become a political majority, permanent political majority, and the owners of the land have become a permanent political minority. And we say that the legislative mandate of the National Assembly does not include constitution making. Constitution making is the exclusive preserve of the constituents as an incident of their sovereignty. And what we have placed on the table is an orderly framework for transiting ourselves from this quagmire we have found ourselves into a new arrangement. And that new arrangement must be in consonance with the self-determination rights of the constituents. Self-determination meaning they have to decide for themselves what they do with their sovereignty. Are they willing to continue in the federation? And if yes, on what terms? Those are the two questions we insist must now be answered. If the federal government of Nigeria is not willing to come to the table to be a part of how those answers are provided, NINAS, that is the Nigerian Indigenous and Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination, is in a position to carry on with that transition from where we are now, because that transition commenced yesterday. That constitution which we have repudiated is now terminated. The life of that constitution is terminated by the proclamation of December 16, 2020. Anybody who does not understand that is likely to learn it the hard way, because you cannot by a forged instrument keep me in the face of danger where my life is now to be given up. My assets have been taken by that same instrument. The oil and gas assets, all these assets, economic assets I've talked about, it is the exclusive list of the 1999 Constitution that sees all those assets, including the power to even work some of those assets. I have coal in Enugu. I cannot generate electricity because somebody put electricity generation and transmission on that exclusive list. We are talking about refineries now and the new prices we may have to pay for crude, for petroleum. Nigeria produces 3 million barrels of crude oil every day and sells. Just the matter of processing. The only reason we are not having petroleum products from the crude oil we have is that refineries are on that exclusive list. You lock down that capacity that is abundantly available. I was in the oil industry, so I can tell you, I had your introductory where you were reviewing what has happened and people talking about Shell stealing oil. I was in the oil industry. It is because Nigeria is a criminal enterprise. Nigeria was designed in 1914 as a British offshore criminal enterprise, and all the constitutions that have been imposed on us from beginning to now are designed to service that criminal enterprise. That is why Shell can be dictating the terms of how it, prospects and takes away the oil, accounting only as it deems fit to the NNPC.
Okay.
If Nigeria was being managed by the owners of Nigeria, all such will not happen.
All right.
And so we've come to where we say we must now engage these matters. If we're not engaging it, if the federal government, if that illicit federal government is not willing to come bring itself to the table, the owners of Nigeria, especially in the south and the middle belt, who have now organized themselves in a formation of 3 blocks, the Yoruba being one block, the eastern half of southern Nigeria being another block, that is south, south, and southeast, and the middle belt being another block. All of us are under the invasion of this murderous Fulani.
But Attorney Nadine, if you're pulling down a constitution, don't you think it has implication? How can a country stand for 1 minute without a constitution? Would that not amount to, well, I don't know, but you're a lawyer. How can the country stand without a constitution? So how do you intend to do that?
Well, the matter is straightforward. If only our people will go and look at what we have in black and white before them. It's all in those Guardian newspapers I talked about and on their website, on our own website, www.freedomfromnigeria.com. Now, we are not anarchists. And so, going back to the 5 points of demand, because we actually have a demand number 4, a transitioning process. We insist that the federal government, so let me just take them in series. The first demand is that the federal government of Nigeria must now acknowledge the sovereignty dispute so that the conversation can begin under the roof. Otherwise, it will be happening on the streets, like we have seen across the land. People resorting to self-help on account of these constitutional grievances from across board in the land. That's number 1. Number 2, that the federal government of Nigeria must expressly and formally commit to the decommissioning of that fraudulent constitution of 99. Number 3, that the federal government of Nigeria must expressly formally commit to the suspension of any further national elections under that constitution, so that we can all go and begin to solve this problem now. I get ashamed of some of our people at a time. The other people are running helter-skelter. Yoruba gathered in Ibadan yesterday, telling the whole world that they are only interested in salvaging themselves from the union of death Nigeria has become. Telling the whole world that the elections will not solve the problem. At the time everybody is trying to extricate themselves, people are still discussing another round of election under this constitution that is the source of misery and the source of death. Therefore, the demand number 3 is that the federal government of Nigeria must commit expressly to the suspension of further national elections under this constitution, so that we can go to work out to rework the basis of Nigeria, agree on the terms, agree to be in the union, and on the terms of being in that union. Number 4 of the demands is that a transitioning process in which the existing governance structures are retained for the period of that transition, while the processes that will lead to fresh protocols are being undertaken, just like South Africa did with the apartheid constitution in 1997. If anybody is crazy enough to think that we'll continue to obey, all of what flows from that constitution when they drag us to election that we are saying should not happen, then such a person should be getting ready to contend with the people who have been killed, with the people whose future have been ruined, the people whose assets have been detained for so long. The last one is that the modalities for getting into that transition, by the way, it's a two-stage process that will happen in course of arriving at fresh protocols. Those two stages will be that the units that will federate, those who want to continue in the union, will have to recommit to the union by way of referendums in the regions. The collapse of the 1999 constitution, which has already happened, we have withdrawn our toleration. We have withdrawn that contrived authorization, our signature that was put on the document through that preamble that say we the people enacted, we the people agreed to, we the people submitted to, we the people enacted. What we have done in this intervention is to formally pull back that signature. They were not anarchists. Therefore, we say we are prepared to tolerate existing governance structures for the period of the discussion. That offer of transition is an accommodation, an extraordinary accommodation that is being extended to people who are committing treason against us. Because in holding on to that constitution that we did not make, we've gone to courts in 2007 to say we didn't make it. We've gone to Solomon assemblies in Port Harcourt, in Ibadan, in Makurdi, to tell the whole world that we are being kidnapped in our ancestral homes by people who are now killing us in order to replace us with their own stock that are poured in from all over Africa. And we say that on account of that, it must be a question of those who want to continue to recommit to the union. In the collapse of that, the demise of the 1999 constitution, which is the current situation, is that there's no union. I'm sure you had Ayo Adebanjo on Arise TV the other day telling us that the situation we have now is that we have no union because the constitution that brought us together is in distress, is being rejected, is being repudiated, and it is within the exclusive rights of the owners of the sovereignty to decide what they do with their sovereignty. It does not depend on anybody in Abuja agreeing with them. They can carry all the guns they are carrying around thinking that that is where our sovereignty has gone, or the ones in the National Assembly who are now telling us that they become the owners of our sovereignty. I pray they do not learn in the hard way. Our sovereignty is not with them, it is with us. We have put a plan on the table by which we can go to a meeting. We are not asking them to leave government house right away. We are saying remain so that we can go to have that discussion.
Okay, if we
don't go to that discussion, people are going towards self-help, and it might become anarchy sooner than we can imagine.
Barrister Nnadi, you have said the existing governance structure will remain.
Yes.
In this case, does it have to do with the National Assembly members as well as the governors? What happens if you ask the governors to hold on to their states and remain, and elections will not hold? What will happen to the National Assembly and other arms of government? No, existing governance structures is across board. Okay.
From presidency to National Assembly to the governors up to council area. We're saying on a transitional basis. That's why in the number 4 of our demand, we said that the nationalities will have to work out with the federal government of today, the modalities for how all of that will be. What is it they will be doing? What is it they will not be doing in that period of transition? The law and order will have to be maintained. Salaries of civil servants will have to be, paid, and all the kinds of things that.
Then that takes me to the next question. Law and order. And that means you still be making use of that constitution that you said you need to drop.
South Africa came through. Let us not complicate this matter. South Africa had exactly the same problem we have now. The Boers in South Africa came from outside and seized the land and became the owners of South Africa to the exclusion of the black owners. It was introduced in 1910, apartheid constitution. Everything we complain about in Nigeria now for what the Fulani are doing is what the blacks in South Africa went through, but it was apartheid constitution. They began to fight it to the point where the government and the country could not function anymore. And Frederick de Klerk in 1990 had the presence of mind to acknowledge, to admit that this apartheid constitution could not carry the country any further. And he made an announcement that they were going to go to a meeting to discuss the terms of the unions. Why is it impossible for those who sit in Abuja to listen to the overwhelming, the cries and demands of people who have been asking for restructuring, who have been asking for resource control, who have been asking for all kinds? Everybody agrees that this constitution is not working. This union is not working. From all the indices of human, index of human development, where Nigeria, as big as it is, as potentially, successful as it is, has been at the bottom of every good index. And we are leading from the back. We are the poverty capital of the world. We have now become number 2 in terms of rate of unemployment across the world. We have become the example of everything evil. We have become the study for failed state. Why can't we see that if it is coming from this constitution, and we are all agreed that it's coming from this constitution, even the National Assembly said that the security situation in Nigeria is on account of the over-centralized security arrangement imposed by that constitution.
All right,
what are you going to do about it if you don't want to go and turn off the tap? The refineries are not working because refineries are on that exclusive list. Have been, yes.
Let's just sorry.
Our people need to understand. Our people need to understand that it has become a question of life and death for those who are complaining, because people are being killed, and the only reason they can't defend themselves, they were being told that the constitution forbid them from touching guns. They also been told that the constitution allowed the Fulani to get into all the nooks and crannies. You had the governor, the same governor, reckless governor of Bauchi.
Nadi, let's quickly look at our social media. We have reactions. Yes. We need to take some of this reaction. Nigerians are watching. Like I said earlier, yes, for you to be part of this discussion, all you need to do is to follow us on our official Twitter handle at Democracy2 Day, or you can follow me on my handle at EJ Osamu. Let's look at some of the messages we have there. Let me just start with the one that came from, I have this one. It says, Casey's, is it Casey or Casey's? Says, how effective can this be and how fast can we achieve this? That's a question to you. And he went further to say, how long can this process take? That was the question I wanted to ask. Yeah. Then Egwa Odido is tweeting. He said, what the barrister is saying is the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Our lands have been taken over by foreigners who are highly protected by especially this government. The merchants of death are here for an agenda, and they must be halted by any means. Not any means anyway, by means that will be favorable to the people of Nigeria. He said they must be halted. Then Chigozie McDonald is tweeting. He said, apt views from Mr. Nadi. I expected that by now, federal government must have ensured that all our major refineries are working optimally. Liberalizing the oil sector is another major concern. We should have more than 60 modular refineries working in Nigeria. So we're still getting more. But you know, just like this man is saying here, you need to look at the time frame. All this you have mentioned, that there will be no further election in Nigeria, existing governance structures retained. Within which period? Are you saying within that 30 days that your statement said, or are you looking at between now and 2023?
We have elections happened in 2019, and they say they have 4 years. We're not quarreling with that. What we're saying is that the condition for letting them remain in government, because people are choking to the point where many are feeling like going to charge them out of the place. If you allow those young people that came out in the NSAS protest, you think they all died or they've all run away overseas? No. If they continue to push them, like I saw them trying to increase the price of fuel the other day, they've increased the price of electricity, the electricity tariff by 300%. They are just choking them and choking them all the more. We're saying that in the period left of those 4 years, we can go now. We don't need more than 6 months. If it gets to 1 year, it's just because we're taking it slow to sort out this matter. We are prepared. We are the only ones holding back everybody else to say, let us do it in an orderly form. Those signatories you saw are statesmen. They are not politicians. They are statesmen who have stepped forward to save this union from falling over the brink. And if anybody will not listen now, the matter will soon get to the street. The 90 days was not for it to be finished. We only say formal commitment. Go back to the wordings of that demand. We said the federal government will have to make an announcement. And
if the federal government, because somebody's already asking that question, James O. Emmanuel is saying, what next if the government refuses to come to the round table?
Yes,
if they refuse to come to the round table.
The 90 days we gave, for that purpose, during which no escalation, nobody, we prevailed on all the alliance partners. Let nobody do anything that will escalate the matter. Let us allow the 90 days to run all through. And we kept reminding them in public events like this to say, we have this 90 days. That 90 days is past, they have not come. And so yesterday, the press conference of the World Press Conference of yesterday, March 17, was to tell the global community that we have waited for 90 days and the federal government did not come. The action we said we were going to take in that proclamation is said, because we said we will have to reconsider, that we will have to reconsider our allegiance to that constitution.
All right.
The paragraph before the demand and the mechanism by which that reconsideration is to be executed is entirely up to us.
Youths are fed up with Nigeria and are protesting as NSAS revolution now and our mumu don't do. Others are escaping the country by any means they can.
We know the reason and source of all that is wrong with Nigeria. It is the 1999 Constitution. It is not a real constitution. It is fake. It is a forgery. It is illegitimate. This make-believe 1999 Constitution that was imposed on us cannot remain. It must be decommissioned.
The people of Nigeria are the owners, and the political class are the hired managers. It is for owners to tell hired managers what is to be done. So, it is we the people who must make sure that the 1999 Constitution is decommissioned. Therefore, we, the ordinary people of South and Middle Belt, are uniting as NINAS, which stands for Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination. On 16 December 2020, NINAS declared a constitutional force majeure, an orderly process to decommission the 1999 Constitution. Central government was given 90 days to action 5 demands. They are:
acknowledge the constitutional force majeure,
commit to decommissioning the 1999 Constitution,
suspend general elections in 2023 under the repudiated 1999 Constitution,
work with NINAS to put in place a transitional government.
During the time-bound transitional government, ethnic nationalities will have regional referendums to determine the future of Nigeria. The results will determine what type of constitutional agreement there will be.
You can be part of NINAS by signing the petition. To sign the petition, visit
www.ninasffn.org or www.freedomfromnigeria.com.
The unitary constitution of Nigeria is the source of all of the problems we have been trying to resolve. Everything that has brought Nigeria to where it is, that is now wobbling to some kind of catastrophic collapse, are coming from that constitution. All the contents of the treasury, the principles for managing the resources. So that's the custodians of the treasury, the custodians of power in Nigeria are not to be accountable to the populace for the contents of the treasury. Anybody talking about the rule of law in Nigeria under this constitution is just wasting his time. All atrocities committed in the name of government were put beyond the reach of the court to probe into. These same principles have matured into express provisions that became the quota system. They call it federal character. In that mediocrity, you bring the worst of everybody to come and manage everything for everybody. Go and look at the autopsy report on Nigerian Airways, on Nigerian National Shipping Line, on NITEL, on all the agencies of government that have been run aground. It was simply mediocrity.
Ninas, where we came from, where we are, or the road to freedom. Today, we speak of Ninas, but know that the struggle for the restoration of our sovereignty did not start today. As a matter of fact, the struggle started almost as soon as the sovereignty of the ethnic nationalities was stolen by the imposition of the 1999 Constitution, which maintained a unitary government. With the end of the military regime and return to democracy, there was great hope that the country will be returned to what the people had voted for, and that existed prior to the military intervention in 1966. The hope of the country was dashed when, instead of a return to a federal governance structure with multiple self-governing and autonomous government with their own constitutions, the government was kept centralized in a federal government that kept all the power, the assets, and resources of the ethnic nationalities. Making things worse, this so-called constitution was not put to a referendum, and so was not made by the people. Deprive the citizens of their right to benefit contained in Chapter 2, made federal character unenforceable, gave the lion's share of the oil and other assets to the far north through a federal account sharing process that was exclusively weighted to favor the far north and make corruption official. Let me take you back over 2 decades of our journey. It all started when the military regime of General Abdul Salami Abubakar imposed a unitary 1999 constitution, which in turn was a wholesale rival of the 1979 constitution that was also known to be a victory charter for the Nigeria-Biafra War of 1967 to 1970. When it was made public a few weeks after inauguration of General Obasanjo as president, a better half of those in the legal profession gathered at several conferences and, without much ado, recognized the flaws, loopholes, and selfish intentions, then concluded that the constitution was not legitimate and would not lead Nigeria to any form of advancement. It was important that the mechanism or vehicle to set up a countrywide rejection of this forgery of a constitution was put in place. The journey commenced when, in 2004, the Pro-National Conference Organization, PRONACO, was established to revoke the damaged federal constitutional basis of Nigeria. PRONACO being the People's Sovereign National Conference of Ethnic Nationalities in Nigeria, convened in all ethnic nationalities, and quickly mandated its representation to go back to their people and to come up with ratified draft of how they would want to participate in the Union of Nigeria. The conference sat in plenaries across the cities of Lagos, Port Harcourt, Enugu, Jos, and Kano, then returned to Lagos for the final sitting, and in participation, conveners in the likes of Anthony Ehanoro, Wole Soyinka, Chukwu Emeka Odumego Ojukwu, and similar leaders across the territories. This resolution was an agreement derived from the Composite People's Constitution as presented and defended by ethnic nationalities representation in those sequential conference. And it is important to know that there were observers from the international community, including the US and European Union observers. In August 2006, a delegate from Castina moved the motion for adoption of the draft People's Constitution that emerged from the 29-point resolution of the conference. In furtherance of the Protocol Consensus to restore the federal basis of the Nigerian Union, in 2007, the Movement for a New Nigeria was set up as an enforcement of the consensus at the time to exclude the 12 contiguous northern states that had introduced and embraced the Sharia legal system against the secular basis for Nigeria. The Allies had insisted that democracy and Sharia system could not coexist in the same political space, hence the need for a new vehicle, the Movement for New Nigeria. On the 23rd of May 2007, MMN, through its legal counsel, filed a suit at the Federal High Court Abuja to challenge the legitimacy of the imposed 1999 Constitution, seeking the termination of the entire Constitution. At the court hearings, which had the Attorney General of the Federation representing the federal government, legal representation of the National Assembly, and others admitted the people case which they could not defend the challenge, but insisted that the plaintiff had no lucus standi. In English, the plaintiff had no status at law to bring in the case to challenge the legitimacy of the 1999 Constitution. Having acknowledged that the restoration of the people's sovereignty did not need the participation or permission of government, the joint multi-regional vehicle instituted the MMN Lagos Declaration 30th of June 2011, by which the Allies partner blocks, the Lower Niger, South-South, and Southeast, the Yoruba land, and the Middle Belt publicly rejected the Caliphate-imposed 1999 Constitution, mandating regional self-determination actions which included referendum and international outrage. In furtherance to the mandate of the MMN Lagos Declaration, the people of the Lower Niger on the 27th of April 2015 held the Solemn Assembly in Port Harcourt City to wholly repudiate the 1999 Constitution. In that assembly, the 1,885 ethno-linguistic map of the Lower Niger was adopted as a geographical basis of federating. The assembly mandated the distillation of character of relationship as well as asset protection and guarantee scheme to protect the asset of the indigenous people in other blocks of Nigeria. On the mandate for international outrage of the MNN Lagos Declaration, an LNC team visited Capitol Hills, Washington to make a case for the termination of the operation of Nigeria's 1999 Constitution at the special congressional event on Nigeria in May 2015. The team also made informal consultation for the same matter at the UN headquarters in New York in the same year. 2 years later, still in furtherance to mandate of the MNN Lagos Declaration, the Yoruba indigenous people held the Yoruba Solemn Assembly at Ibadan on the 7th of September 2017. The Assembly publicly repudiated the 1999 Constitution as the basis of the Federation of Nigeria and proclaimed the self-determination right of the Yoruba land to reclaim autonomy of Yoruba land. Then a year later, on the 8th of July 2018, the indigenous people of the Middle Belt in furtherance to mandates of the MNN Lagos Declaration, held the Emergency Assembly of the People of the Middle Belt in Jos Plateau State to publicly reject the unitary constitutional arrangement of Nigeria. In that assembly, the people of the Middle Belt also proclaimed the self-determination right of the Middle Belt and its autonomy. When all regional partners of the MNN alliance had accomplished and concluded the primary mandate of its declaration, in fulfillment of enforcement of the consensus, the alliance on December 11, 2018, held the joint multi-regional Freedom Pact proclamation in Lagos and resolved to reject further national elections on the basis of the repudiated 1999 Constitution and demanded an immediate transitioning process for the orderly distillation of successor state unit. It also resolved that the instrument for such resolution should be by referendums. In 2019, January 17th, an LNC team raised a global alarm about the killings of Christians and ethnic cleansing in Nigeria during the Coordinated Press Conference on Nigeria at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. The team presented undeniable evidence that showed the coordinated links and similarities with the Boko Haram Fulani military headsmen, ISIS, ISWAP, operations, and how the federal government conspicuously watched. Later that year, between June and July, the same team from the LNC, now accompanied by the survivors and victims of Fulani headsmen rampage in the Middle Belt territories, attended International Religious Freedom Ministerial Roundtable event at Capitol Hill, Washington, D.C., where they made a case for the United States' better understanding of the grave situation in Nigeria and the need to appoint a U.S. Special Envoy to visit Nigeria and possibly confirm their realities. In response to the case made by our team, a UN Special Rapporteur visited Nigeria in August 2019 and amid widespread reports of wanton killings and other alarming negative incidents. The UN the same month made damning verdict that the constitutional arrangement of Nigeria was pressured cooker for injustice. The verdict came on the heels of the US verdict on the Fulani-driven ethnic cleansing. Another special rapporteur who had visited Nigeria in 2020 had similar findings. In December 2019, Nigeria was placed on US special watch list for infractions on religious freedom. The report also suggested that the Fulani-dominated federal government of Nigeria and armed forces tolerated these religious infractions and even participated in it. In 2020, Nigeria became the first democracy to be placed on the blacklist for egregious religious infractions. In 2020, Nigeria was ranked 4th in the Global Terrorist Index, a very troubling achievement given the genocide on Christians by various terrorist groups, including the Fulani headsmen, Boko Haram, ISIS, ISWAP, and others. In 2020 also, the International Criminal Court issued a report indicating that they had reasons to believe that the Nigerian military had committed crimes against humanity that arose to the level of war crimes and therefore needed further review. The United Nations issued a report indicating that over 1,005 had been killed, 300,000 had fled as refugees to other countries, and 3 to 4 million had been displaced from their land. Due to the obsessed cost of governance, Nigeria in 2020 also officially became poverty capital of the world, with almost 100 million people living on less than $2 per day. The joint multi-regional vehicle, the MNN, having accomplished the enforcement of its primary secondary mandate with the Freedom Pact proclamation, in which it resolved to reject further national election on the basis of repudiated 1999 Constitution, set up a new vehicle to carry the indigenous nationalities as Alliance for Self-Determination. In 2020, the Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination, NINES, was born, fulfilling its primary mandate on the 16th of December 2020. the Nigerian Indigenous Nationality Alliance for Self-Determination declared a constitutional force majeure in a well-attended worldwide conference. By that action, the Indigenous Nationalities Alliance had publicly given the government of Nigeria notice to the fact that the basis for the Union of Nigeria, being the 1999 Constitution, could no longer hold due to certain circumstances, dispute, and grievances, and to be as civil as the alliance has always been from the inception. When the imposition of the forged document was used to take away the rights of the people, Ninas also gave the federal government 90 days to publicly acknowledge the constitutional grievances and sovereignty dispute as declared by the people of the South, the Middle Belt of Nigeria. The alliance demanded that within 90 days, the federal government should commit to begin a decommissioning process of the 1999 Constitution as the basis of Union of Nigeria. It cited examples of similar situation where destructive constitutions were jettisoned, example being the Apartheid Constitution of South Africa and the military constitution of Chile and Algeria. Ninas also requested that the unitary government of Nigeria should make a formal announcement suspending all further national elections conducted under the illegitimate 1999 Constitution, since winners of such elections will be sworn into office with the said illegitimate constitution, and in turn provided more fuel and life to illegitimate constitution. Ninas also requested the government to formally invite the people of the South and Middle Belt of Nigeria to work out the modalities for transitioning process. And finally, Ninas requested that the federal government, with a 90 days period, formally initiate a time-bound transitioning process to midwife the emergence of a fresh constitutional protocol by two-stage process. The first being the constituted regional blocks will first distill and ratify their various constitution by referendum, and a second stage where these regional blocks will come to the center to negotiate the terms of federating afresh as may be dictated by the outcome of referendum conducted in the said regional blocks. That is our journey to freedom. Let's spread the message of Ninas. Let's all join hands to get back our stolen sovereignty. For more information about Ninas, its progress, and how to support the progress, call Ninas on 0813 425 4584 or 0705 924 9885. Visit www.freedomfromnigeria.com. Sign the petition to decommissioning the imposed 1999 Constitution at www.ninasffn.org/register to end 1999 Constitution now.
Yes, we have come again to address a specific issue of false narratives being introduced into the arena by people who certainly know the truth. They are trying to put the tag of secession and the treason that goes with secession on the self-determination push being driven by the indigenous Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination. What is going on is that what the indigenous nationalities have done is in writing. The reference again is the December 16th Constitutional Force Majeure Proclamation that details all of what their complaints and grievances are and what propositions they have put forward in form of those demands and what has to be done in form of the November of 2018 open memo. Everything they say should be done or was the problem is in writing. And so if without looking at it, you begin to say it is secession from what? There's no Nigeria from which anybody will have to secede now. Again, back to our map. What we're dealing with is a situation in which the 12 contiguous states of the far north, the one in yellow that adopted Sharia, in the face of the provision of Section 10 of the already disputed Constitution. And if I may, let me actually read out that Section 10 so that people can understand what happened with the secession, what happened with these 12 contiguous states that simultaneously imposed Sharia in year 2000. Simultaneous, contiguous. Section 10 of the fraudulent Constitution admits to some of the truths. It reads, the government of the Federation of a state shall not adopt any religion as state religion, full stop. That's all. I repeat, the government of the Federation or of a state shall not adopt any religion as state religion. This is the provision in this constitution that makes Nigeria a secular state. So for these 12 states to act simultaneously in the manner they did in year 2000, being contiguous, it means each of the houses of assembly passing the laws, and then the governor signing it into law, and then setting up Hizbah, the Sharia police. That's the only section of the country that has seceded from the secular union of Nigeria. But the rest of us in this alliance looked at it because they went into due process. We interpreted what they did as a exercise of their right to self-determination. That's what they've taken their sovereignty from your Nigeria, and they've moved on. What they've been doing since after they moved on was to regroup and come back on a conquest mission. That's what they're doing now. And it is in response to all of that that the rest of Nigeria went on to also step into their own right to self-determination, since the constitution that brings everybody together is a forgery. Is being repudiated in every democratic way. And so the mischief of wanting to target secession, is just it's marks of illiteracy, and it's disgraceful that people who are lawyers, people who are supposed to know, some of people who have a PhD, some even say it's treason. Treason, the only treason on the table right now is the treason of holding on to a forgery, a forged instrument. We did not make this constitution. The people who are standing on it to operate the Union of Nigeria, they know that it is a forgery and a fraud. We went to court in 2007 to place it before the court to say, from the account of the author, Absalam Abubakar, and the preamble that claims that we went into a meeting, that we, meaning the sovereign constituent components. That is what it means, that we the people. And so, Decree number 24 of 1999, which tells the story of how the constitution came about, from the author himself, Absalam Abubakar. He talked about how he formed a committee he called the Constitution Debate Coordinating Committee that went around. The meeting that will yield constitution must be one between the federating units, must be one between those who can be countries of their own. Let those who have been deceiving themselves in all kinds of small places listen to it now. Some of them are professors of law, some of them are senior advocates talking trash. The meeting that will become constitution is one between those who should have been countries of their own, the Yoruba that would be a country of 50, 60 million people, if there was no Nigeria occupying their space and desecrating their space. The eastern, the lower Niger, that could be a country of 70 million people, if there was no Nigeria desecrating the place, occupying the place against their will. The same thing as Middle Belt. And so it is that meeting in which they come with their sovereignties to decide two things, that they will be in a union, and then the terms of being in that union. That is what the constitution is supposed to settle. And they will have their own individual constitutions because we're a federation. So if instead of going through that route, you sit in one corner and which day was it that Yadudu, I think it was May, that was 2-3 days ago, 2 days ago. I saw Yadudu, Professor Yadudu, the quota Professor Yadudu, the illiterate Professor Yadudu, going to national TV to say that the constitution, that the issues being raised about the constitution and how it came, that everything can be resolved by amendment. What are you amending? We are saying we never made a constitution. Is it not easier to put aside the forgery and go and discuss to form a union and process it to become constitutional if we all agree? What are you running away from? This sovereignty dispute has been on the table since 1967. Yadudu goes to TV because he was the one that processed the back end of what became the 1999 constitution, to say that the amendment provisions in the constitution is enough to change it even entirely, to bring about a new constitution. Why do I have to go through the hurdle of coming before the assembly constituted from 36 states that were imposed by brigandage? Who am I going to meet in the place? Who taught Yadudu that jurisprudence in which our sovereignty should now be in the hands of the National Assembly? Where did he learn that from? And you have been teaching generations of people who have become senior advocates and professors themselves, some of them are in the Senate. Yadudu is illiterate on this subject matter. He doesn't know anything on the jurisprudence of constitution making. That's why he's talking about National Assembly as the place, as the venue for going to discuss our sovereignty. And so we come back to the question of who is committing treason. It is the people who are swearing to defend and uphold this fraud that are committing treason against the rest of us, because they are the ones hijacking our sovereignty, selling 3 million barrels of crude oil every day and sharing the money over the heads of the owners, sending army and police to go and kill people all over the place, partnering with international terrorists. We saw how ISIS came in 2012 to join forces with Boko Haram, and they became ISWAP. And now they are sitting on top of all of that. We saw when Danjuma raised the alarm about the collusion between the government, the illicit federal government, because we can't have a federal government if we're not a federation. We ceased to be a federation in 1966. So when we say illicit federal government, it's not about the Buhari that is in government house today. We're saying that the Federation of Nigeria died in 1966. The carcass was hijacked by a small section of the country that is still imposing itself on the rest of Nigeria. They managed to impose a constitution that we didn't discuss, and they put our signature. They have the temerity to put our signature to that constitution, to say, oh, we made it. And we've tolerated it for 21 years. And people who are supposed to be rallying around the peaceful propositions of how to address the issue are still going around running their mouth, talking nonsense. So what is being pursued now by NINAS, the Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination, is actually self-determination. That is what it's called. And it's an inalienable right. What the fundamental human right is to the individual is what this self-determination right is to the community. The community in the sense of, if you are a distinct ethnic nation, if you're a distinct distinct people in your ancestral space, that right accrues to you and is not dependent on anybody agreeing with you. By the UN instrument governing the situation, the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples that came in 2007, I happen to have been directly involved in how it came. Professor Soyinka became the medium by which we were able to reach Kofi Annan. And somehow that instrument, emerged. That instrument says, in essence, if you are a distinct nationality in your ancestral space, you are entitled to be there. If anybody wants to, if you are entitled to be there by yourself, using whatever God put there to better yourself. If anybody wants to be in union with you, that person has to convince you. Because the UN found out that all the wars they were trying to separate over the years came from ethnic domination in one form or the other. If it's not the Nazis that will declare themselves superior and begin to kill others, it will be the Tutsi and the Hutu, or the Fulani, as we have seen in Nigeria, or the Boers, as we saw in South Africa. So the solution they have found is to now say, by that United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, that if you are a distinct nationality on your ancestral space, if you are Scot in Scotland, if you are Catalan in Catalonia, if you are Corsican in Corsica or France, if you are Ijaw in Ijaw land, if you are Yoruba in Yoruba land, you are entitled to be there by yourself. It doesn't matter how Lugard came in 1914 and how you became Nigeria. All of that, everything is now subject to that right to self-determination. And so it is the exercise of that right that these indigenous nationalities are doing, because the Constitution of Nigeria of 1999 was done in defiance of, in negation of our right to self-determination. And if anybody doesn't understand that, again, I refer the person to section 14.2a of this same illicit constitution that admitted that sovereignty belongs to the people, from whom government, through this constitution, derives all its powers and authority, meaning that only the people in exercise of their sovereignty can make an instrument that will confer power and authority. What we have going on in Nigeria today, so that nobody will say they were not told, is that the illicit federal government of Nigeria is now hanging on to this forgery as a source of power and authority. And the owners of the sovereignty have organized themselves in these formations we have seen to step forward to say, we've endured it for 21 years and no more. This constitution is a forgery and can no longer be basis of the union. They went to solemn assemblies. We saw it in Port Harcourt in 2015. We saw it in Ibadan in 2017, 7th of September at Adama Simba Stadium. We saw it in Makurdi on the July 18th of 2018. So the nationalities spread across this south and middle belt have done everything democratically possible to tell everybody that they can't continue to live under the bondage of this instrument of death that seized all their assets and now opened them up. You saw when our borders were thrown up open by people who are bringing people of their own stock, the Fulani, to come and become the new owners of Nigeria, eliminating the owners of the land. And we all pretend we do not. So the issue is a sovereignty dispute, and the union of Nigeria as defined by this constitution is at an end for these indigenous nationalities. They have not taken unilateral actions. They have raised their grievances and placed on the table for discussions. They have offered together a transitioning. Let those in government house, whether it's president and federal or governors and all the other people, remain in office in the period that this apartheid constitution of Nigeria is taken out peacefully. But if they think they have become the new owners of our sovereignty, they are going to have to contend with their people, the people in whose name they've been going forward to become president and governor and senator. It's just going to become matter on the street. We are the only statesmen, we are the only peacemakers left, inviting everybody to come so that the matter doesn't resolve itself on the street. So when characters like Yadudu, who was central to, he was Abacha's chief legal advisor, who had been possessing something that will keep Abacha for life, and then Absalom Abubakar retained him. And he still does not realize he has caused enough damage. He has the temerity to go to national TV to say that National Assembly is the one that will now decide our sovereignty. Let him go and look for how to learn. The mediocrity they impose on us is costing too much blood already. Let Yadudu go and look for who will teach him the jurisprudence of constitution making. And all these other senior advocates and professors that are talking trash all over the place. Ruben Abati says treason. Treason from who? By who? Who taught him that kind of law? And so we come, this matter is only a matter of the degree of autonomy. The people talking about restructuring, the people talking about Odua Republic, the people talking about Biafra Republic, the people talking about resource control, they are all expressing constitutional grievances. We have framed it all into questions that can be answered under a roof, around a table, for everybody, to the satisfaction of everybody. We either go to do that now that we can, or those who are being killed and who have the inalienable right to exercise their right to self-determination will go unilateral. Some of them are armed, and we're saying to them, it hasn't come to armed engagement. We have a remedy, self-determination. The processes are almost 80-90% done. We can come to the end of it by referendums. It is by referendum that you decide. Ruben Abati that was talking about or the governor in Ondo that was talking about, Professor Akintoye as an unknown quantity. Can you imagine the level of lunacy we're talking about? That people will gather and make this, people who are under the threat, existential threat. We're talking about death here. The assets have been taken. Everything has been, every other thing that they will wish to have as human beings have been desecrated. And then they come to say, let us do it this way, so it doesn't end in fiasco. Then you come and say, who are you? Let it go to referendum. This is the kind of thing that the whole solution to the problem is referendum. You can't say because you are one governor in one country, were you elected to come and become the owner of the sovereignty of the people? When you can't license one rifle to defend them from people who are killing them in your face. But when they organize, you now begin to run your mouth against them. Let our elected officials, the 30 days we give to them is running. Once it's done, just like we gave the federal government 90 days, and they refuse to turn up, the 30 days we gave the elected officials from this alliance territory, including that governor in Ondo, including the other governors, is running out. By the time it runs out, of course, we move on to the balance of the populace and the international community to complete the consultations. Then we come back to what will happen thereafter. I would think we just have to pull ourselves away from this nasty talk of secession and separatism. It is called self-determination. If we prefer to play pranks and mischief while the house is on fire, the populace is watching. And by the time they come to knock at the door of those who are doing that mischief, they won't find people like me there to come and ask them to take it easy. Their lives are at stake. This is not the time to play any politics.
Okay, thank you all so much. I'm going to be very, very brief because I know you all have your meeting. I am so glad to be here. And as I said, we are moving forward. Thank you for inviting me, the host. I thank you so much. You have even explained so much, but I'm going to just go briefly so that people will know how we started, why we are where we are, and where we are going to. We are so close. First of all, NINAS is the Nigerian Indigenous Nationality Alliance for Self-Determination. That is what we're doing basically. We are claiming our territories. We are claiming our positions. We are claiming our land. So this is not about Fulani telling us what to do. This is us saying we the people We want what belongs to us, what rightfully belongs to us. We are not going to fight over it because it is ours. So we're not going to fight over it. So this is ours. So I just want you to grab your indulgence and give me just a few minutes to explain how it all started. I'm not going to go into too many details, but I'll just show you how everything started. First of all, in 1999, when the Constitution was written, in actual fact, that Constitution was not written. It was actually adopted through Decree 24. That was adopted the 1979 Constitution through Abdusalam Decree 24, turned it into 1999, and made a mess of everybody. That 1999 Constitution is the problem, is the cause of what we are, where we are right now. And that is why NINAS decided that the first thing that we have to do before we think of anything else is to pull down that Constitution. So we said, you see, this 1999 Constitution must come down for us to go forward. And why do we want to do that? Because in this Constitution, there are 68 exclusive lists. All these 68 exclusive lists makes it impossible for a Yoruba man to generate the money that comes in Yoruba land to be used for Yoruba people. They made it so difficult. The Igbo man, the money that is generated in his own land to be used by his own people and for his own people. So this 68 exclusive list, if you go through it, you would say, God forbid, how did we even allow this to happen for so long? Guess what? The Port Authority in Lagos generate billions of dollars. They generate a lot of money. But guess what? Lagos State alone does not get back that money because this Constitution allows about 70% of what Lagos State makes to go to Kano State that generates 0%. Do you understand what I'm saying? So this Constitution is the Constitution that made them to make our students would have 200 and something for JAM, and they will not qualify to get into institutions of higher learning, but their own kids with 50% can come in and study medicine. This Constitution made it so. This Constitution made it so that we cannot generate electricity in our land. If you go to Nigeria now, everybody has this small generator. I better pass my neighbor. That is what they are using. And here in America, we have like 24 hours. All you need to do is to pay your bills. Is that not it? That Constitution made it so. So if you go and open the Constitution, you see all these 68 exclusive items on the list. And that is why we say we are no longer doing. You have to pull it down for anything positive to happen. Then, even before we went there, the Nigerians, the contraption, I call it contraption because that is what it is. I call it a contraption because the Fulanese, they have already moved on with their Sharia. You understand? They did this sometime in 2000. They moved on with their Sharia and decided that we can decide to do whatever we want, but it has to come through their own power. So they have moved on with these 12 states that you see right now. Before, the Middle Belt used to be part of the North. But the Middle Belt found out that we cannot continue in this manner. That is why they pulled out from the North. So these 12 states has already agreed to move on with their Sharia states. And that is why when they say we are succeeding, we want them to know that we are not succeeding. No. We are actually asking for what belongs to us. Our own self-determination, that is what we are seeking. And let me also make us to realize that these three bottom, like we have the Middle Belt here, we have the Yoruba nation here, we have the Lower Niger here. When I call Lower Niger, it means the Southeast and the South, and some part of the Middle Belt. So all of us, we have created an alliance. We have created a stronghold against the Fulani Caliphate. So we are already together. We are doing this together. That is why it's easy. Had it been the Middle Belt wanted to go on their own, these people on this side will crush them. Had it been we the Biafrans, we tried to go on our own one time. You see what happened in 67. We were crushed. Had it been the Yorubas wanted to go on their own, they would be crushed. So that is why we decided to create an alliance first before we decide to go. So that has happened. Then in 2007, the template that the NINAS is using is this UNDRIP, United Nations Declaration of the Rights of the Indigenous Peoples. Because people are asking the question, hey, how do you think this thing would work? How do you think this thing would work? Fulani will not agree. They were just making so much noise. And we're telling them that there is a template. There is a template, and you won't believe it. One of the people that helped to see this template go through was Professor VOLI. It was one of those that allowed this template to go through in 2007. He helped us to get this thing to go through. The first guy that tried it during Second World War, they killed him because they said, if Africans understand that they can have self-determination, how do we go and steal from them? So it was the help of VOLI and some other chaps that made this possible in 2007. I think the secretary there was Kofi Annan. So because he was a friend to Soyinka and so on and so forth, they met together and said, hey, man, you got to help us. You got to help us. So in 2007, this thing came out and it has about 46 articles. It's from these 46 articles that NINAS is working from. So if anybody tells, Fulani no go agree, Fulani, no. Fulani go agree because we and Fulanis, we are not the same. We are not the same. So if you go through all these 46 articles, it's talking about the indigenous peoples in their indigenous spaces. Like the Ijaw man would be in his Ijaw territory, the Igbo man would be in his Igbo territory, the Yoruba man would be in his Yoruba territory. So nobody would encroach on your territory unless you decide to agree. So with that being said, now let me give you the last, or let me give you the trend, the real template that was mapped out. These are the 16 steps that have been mapped out since 1999 when this project started. It started in 1999. And so far, we are at the 50. This is where we are right now. From here to this is where we are. And this is the last phase. We are on number 15, where we are, because we have done the constitutional force majeure. We did that in December 16th, of which I am a signatory. So we have done that. This is the last phase of where we are, right? We are on the 15th. We are moving to the 15th. And we will now get to the 16th, and that will be the end. And when my brother was saying, we are so close, that's the truth. We are really, really close. So we are going to finish from here and go down to this last part of the entire phase. It has taken 21 years in making. You understand? And why we decided to go through this platform or go through this pathway is because we don't want any war. What will not benefit us? Yeah. We don't want anybody to die for no reason, especially when all those things belongs to you. So that is why we had to go through this path. And we are hoping that by the time we finish, we would end up like this. Imagine federations. The Yorubas will go as their Oduduwa nation or Yoruba nation. We at the lower Niger, we would go as our own nation. We can decide to even split further if we so wish. The middle belters will go. These ones, they've already gone because they came up with Sharia and they have already gone. And that is why you should not be afraid that, Fulani will kill you. No! Guess what? We have done the constitutional force majeure that makes it impossible for the Fulani to continue to kill you unless you want to die. There's no point. And now, on the 16th of December 2020, this is the constitutional force majeure that we did. We did this constitutional force majeure expressing our grievances to the nation. We're like, you know what? We can no longer do this. We can no longer be a part of this. We are no longer interested in becoming one. You have to answer the 5 demands. And these 5 demands were presented to the government. They gave the presidency 90 days to come around the 5 demands of the constitutional force majeure. The 90 days have come and gone. They also gave, from then, I think March of 2021, 17th, another 30 days to the governors and the senators. Hey, go and, be part of the transitioning movement. Some of them are still drawing back. They're like, would this work? Would this not work? They are still, Baba, go slow. They don't want to move fast. And we're like, okay, don't worry. You just have to do what we needed to be done. But right now, starting from the 17th of April, we have given our people 120 days. 120 days is the power people. That's what it's called. Is the activation of the power people or power to the people. It has been activated already. And what do we need to do in that 120 days? As my brother rightly said, they have been campaigning on a weekly basis. There was an Ibadan campaign. There was an Oshobo campaign. Was it today or yesterday?
Yeah.
It was today, Abby.
No,
today. It was yesterday. Sorry, there was a Oshobo campaign yesterday, and the campaigns would have to continue. And so the reason why we are doing these campaigns, and the army or whatever police, they are not attacking, is because of the force majeure. They can no longer attack, because we've now said that we are disputing that constitution. The constitution no longer holds us binding. And that is why we want to create that awareness. Everywhere you go, you talk to your people, educate them, let them know why they shouldn't even fight in the streets. Let them know why they should all come together, because everybody has to come together to agree on what we are doing. So the campaign is very, very effective. I watched it yesterday. I saw Sunday Igboho, I saw Quick. I saw a lot of people out there. I saw it, they came out, and it has to be continuous until the end of that 120 days. And what are we looking at that 120 days? We have already told the owners of the land, this is you and I, my own land, your own land, that, hey, once that 120 days comes up, you have every right to do whatever you want to do. And we have told the government. They are pretending as if they are not listening. And they're pretending that what we are doing is online. It's not online, no. There is so much work underground. There are not so many things I can tell you now, but there's so much work underground. The United States is involved. Even the UK has answered. The EU has answered. They say, no. They cannot deal with this, because they know that we are legitimate in what we are talking about. And the UN is so much in support, because guess what? We have to go to bribe. They're looking for who to do so many things. So people should not get carried